You're listening to ProdCast, the personal productivity podcast from CRM Audio, with your hosts Matthew C. Anderson and Joel Lindstrom. Good day, Matthew C.
Hey, Joel, how you doing?
Doing well. Matthew, I am living in the future.
Oh boy, am I there with you, or do I need to find out where you're at?
Yeah, this was actually yesterday. So anyway, no, what I mean is I have, in the last couple weeks, in my never-ending quest to become more productive, I have really become, and I've always done this somewhat, but I even more so become a fan of delay send on my email. And okay. I've always done this in Outlook, but the idea is, and I figured this out, that a lot of my stress from email and Outlook and in general was because it's kind of like you're throwing bombs. You know, customers are surprising you with emails and problems and questions and things you have to do, and then you reply to them, and then before you move on, they reply back. So what I found is the value in delayed send is, for one thing, I like to periodically, take half an hour in the evening, after the kids go to bed, and just clean my inbox out. Mm-hmm. But people feel really weird if you send them an email, especially if you send it at like 2 a.m. You can't sleep, and so.
Yeah, well, and there's that weird social stigma about, well, if somebody else is responding this late at night, do I need to be responding late at night? And especially in a manager / employee situation, that can get particularly weird.
Oh yeah, or especially if you're emailing your direct reports at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, and especially for people who are doing a lot of travel, like we sometimes do, you get in, you're not able to respond until 2 in the morning.
Right. And so then you wake up at 6:30 in the morning and you think, I need to check it in case somebody replied back to that email I sent them at 9 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
So the idea is, do your email at night after business hours, but I've set myself a new rule. Unless it's absolutely necessary, any email I send after 4:30 in the afternoon is going to go out the next day. And if there's some things that have to go out immediately, but most things don't. Okay. But even like during the day, I'm starting to unless it's something that immediately needs to go out, building in an hour and a half before the email gets delivered. And I like that too because it gives me more time to think about it. I don't know how many times in the last week or a week and a half since I've been doing this, I found after I complete the email and set it to delay send, I think of a better way to say it, or I think I should take that sentence out. That could be misconstrued as me being angry at them, or this is unclear. And it just gives you some more time to do it. And the best part is I'm not getting a response back, so my email, it just gives me breathing room.
Yeah, you don't get into that email tennis match.
Right, absolutely. So how about you? Do you ever do that?
So I do with some occasion. I mean, more than anything, I'll use the delayed send just inside of Outlook. I mean, it's under the options menu within the email when you're drafting it. So I'll get an email put together. I'll set the delayed delivery time that I want to have it, and I'll put it out there. And in addition to the kind of the use case that you put out there, it's sometimes nice where you don't want to seem over eager when you're responding. I do a lot of things in a sales and pre-sales capacity, and if you respond immediately, it can come across as you're anxious or needy or that kind of thing in trying to close the sale, and really you're just trying to be responsive and not let it drop and hit the floor.
Right, and I learned the lesson about 6-8 months ago where I actually had some dental surgery, and so I had been sedated. And not completely sedated, but a fairly heavy dose of sedation involved. And I got home, and I was feeling pretty good. The pain hadn't hit me yet. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do my email. And I sent a response to somebody that I mentioned them in an email and accidentally copied them on it. And that the feeling in your stomach hitting the floor, that was the feeling I had from that. So this helps me avoid that. Yes. Curses. So anyway, and So you can do all this with standard Outlook, but there's some downsides I found to the standard Outlook delayed send. Biggest is you got to leave Outlook running, and it has to be connected to the internet. Mm-hmm. So if you switch computers, or if you get on the plane at 5 in the morning, your email's not going out. And, so that's probably the biggest downside I found. But I stumbled across an Outlook app, and I had heard of the Gmail version of this that's on Android. But this is in the Outlook App Store for Office 365 called Boomerang. And it's got, what I like about it is, it's got the send later, and it gives you common options. So, like, one of the options I use a lot if I do it after hours is tomorrow morning, which sends it around 9 to 9:30 a.m. in your time zone. Mm-hmm. And what happens is you compose the email, you go send later and choose tomorrow morning, or specify a specific time, and then let Boomerang do its scheduling thing. There's a little Boomerang logo. And then what it does is it closes the window and leaves the message in draft form. If you ever want to change it before it sends out, you go change the draft, and you go in the settings. You can see all the emails queued up, and then it will send it out, even if Outlook isn't running. So if you shut your computer off, you don't get that annoying. You have emails in your outbox. If you close Outlook, they won't send thing.
I know that one well. Yep.
And it also has a really interesting feature called the reason it's called Boomerang is because you can boomerang messages and say, bring this message back in 2 days. So you can have it where it takes, kind of like the Outlook mobile app does, where you can schedule it to come back in your mailbox. So if you have something, I don't have time to mess with this, I want to deal with it tomorrow, you can have it go away and come back. So
yeah, now that piece of it I'd heard about in Boomerang before. I wasn't familiar with the delayed send. That sounds pretty cool.
It's got some other things, like you can send somebody a snapshot of your calendar, some other really useful. But the thing that I would say has, again, not to confuse tools with productivity. You could do this with the standard delayed send, but I found this tool is a little bit nicer because I can shut my computer off, I can disconnect, I can jump on a plane, and it will still send it out.
Very cool. And you said it's pretty easy to get started then, or how long of a setup are we looking at?
Yeah, no, you just go, if you're on Office 365, go to the Office go to the store link in your Office in Outlook, and then from there search for Boomerang. One thing I did find is just a little quirky. If you use the preview pane and you don't pop the message out, I found that it sometimes is a little bit weird as far as the closing of the message. It works best if you pop the message out, and then you type your message and hit the send later and choose when you want to send it. And then you don't hit the send button. You just be patient for a few seconds, and it will close the message, and it will leave it as a draft.
Okay.
And you can go to the settings of the app, and it'll give you the list of messages that are queued up to send. What about the that's not productive?
That's right. So the that's not productive that I'd like to talk about on this one is something I'd like to call Cortana, Alexa, Google, Siri. And, with the proliferation of these various digital assistants, voice-activated digital assistants, really asking that question of, are we at a point where those are actually making us any more productive?
That's a good question. They make me spend more time yelling at my phone because it misspelled what I was voice dictating to it.
Yeah, well, that's fair. And the first thing I'd like to do is say, Alexa, order me a pizza, and see how that goes for everybody out there in podcast land who's not listening on earbuds. But I don't know. For me, I can use it for some little tasks, maybe, setting a timer, a 2-minute timer, a 4-minute timer, and it kind of does its thing, or to voice activate to start getting some directions or that sort of thing. But I don't know that it actually makes me any more productive than just going in and doing the search on my own. How about you?
I would say that I would agree with you for the most part. I think voice search on the phone to me is more of a gimmick or a novelty. And so I would agree if you look at it in that context. I find on my Xbox One, I will use the Cortana if I can't find the remote and I need to turn the volume down suddenly. There's lots of that going on when sudden loud music comes on and I'm yelling, "Hey Cortana, volume down! Hey Cortana, volume down!" The thing about the Xbox, it used to be. You used to say Xbox. Now you gotta say, "Hey Cortana," so it made it worse. I would disagree with you with Alexa if you extend it. I think you can extend it to do your productivity. Now, I got 2 or 3 areas. One is if you do any of the home automation stuff, which if you're in the room, I think it's arguable. It's just as fast to go click the light switch than it is to say, "Alexa, turn off the kitchen light." But here's the thing is, you got kids, when your kids are a little bit older, your kids are going to forget to turn their bedroom lights off. And you're going to be in a different part of the house, and you know that your son has gone to school and left his light on, his bathroom light on, and the electricity is being wasted. It's nice to be able to say, "Alexa, turn off all lights," and have all the lights turn off in your house. Or, "Alexa, ask alarm.com to arm my system." So, that's where I see there is not dramatic, but there are some productivity gains where when I am going to go upstairs for the night, I can, as I'm walking through my living room, turn off all my lights and ask her to arm my system. The other thing I would say is the shopping list thing with Alexa, and I hope people are listening to this in the room with Alexa because, for example, I'll be going through my refrigerator and use the list functionality to say, "Alexa, add cream cheese to my list. Alexa, add milk to my list. Alexa, add." I can do that as I'm going through and looking at that. Also, I would look at the IFTTT extensions for Alexa because you can add triggers. So any recipe with IFTTT, be it, triggering your light bulbs in other ways. I made very elaborate recipes to wake my kids up, where it makes their lights blink on and off and other such things. So I think it can be a gimmick or can be a productivity detractor, but I think there are certain things that I've found it does enhance productivity.
Well, fair enough. I'll say I'm not to that point myself yet. I am very hopeful that some of the scenarios I'd love to automate in that way are just around the corner for me to do it. So for me, this one stays as that's not productive, and I think you're just, like you said at the top of the episode, you're living in the future.
Yeah. All right. But enjoy the past. This has been ProdCast, the personal productivity podcast from CRM Audio. You can follow Matthew C. Anderson on his blog, connectingthedata.com, where you can download his ebook about 8 essential Skype for business hacks. You can also follow him on Twitter at MC Anderson. Joel Lindstrom is on Twitter at Joel Lindstrom. Do you have any feedback for us or questions about how to be more productive? Send an email to mail@prodcast.show or leave a comment on the CRM Audio Facebook page. You can subscribe to ProdCast at prodcast.show, iTunes, or subscribe to the CRM Audio feed to get this podcast and other series from CRM Audio. This is Joel Lindstrom. Until next time, remember to stay productive.